The gift no one expected. Jason stood still as the crowd cheered around him. He had just returned from a brutal alien war, a mission where half his squad never came back. But he survived. Not just survived, he won. The enemy base was destroyed. The mission complete. And now, as a reward, the alien commanders were giving him something unusual. 2 girls were brought forward, twin sisters, alien, but not like the enemy soldiers. Their skin had a soft glow, almost silver. Their eyes were large, shining with fear. They looked young, maybe 18 in human years. They were dressed in thin robes, wrists chained together, heads lowered. "This is your prize," said the commander. "Take them. Do with them as you wish. They belong to you now." The hall fell silent. Everyone waited for Jason's reaction. Some smiled. Others nodded in approval. This was normal in their world. Gifts like these were given to the strong. Women taken from conquered worlds, property, toys, slaves. But Jason didn't smile. He looked at the 2 girls. They didn't look proud or honored to be his reward. They looked terrified. One of them trembled. The other had a small bruise on her cheek. Jason felt something strange in his chest, something he hadn't felt in years. Not during war, not during pain. It was something close to anger, but not towards the girls. Towards the people around him. "Unchain them," Jason said in a calm voice. The commander laughed. "They are yours. You may do that yourself." Jason didn't move. "Unchain them, now." The room shifted. The laughter stopped. There was tension now. A human commanding an alien officer in front of everyone? That was not common. But the commander, seeing Jason's serious face, gave a quick nod. A guard walked forward and removed the chains. The girls didn't run. They didn't speak. They just stood there, confused and afraid. Jason stepped closer. "You're free," he said. No one spoke. No one moved. A few gasps could be heard. One of the girls raised her head slowly. She looked at him, unsure if she heard right. Jason repeated, "You don't belong to me. You're free." The younger sister Zena felt her knees weaken. Was this some kind of trick? A test? That's what they usually did. Offer fake freedom, then punish them for hope. She looked at her older sister Velari, who was shaking her head slightly as if warning her not to believe it. Jason turned to the commander. "Is that all?" The alien narrowed his eyes. "They are yours. If you don't want them, you may give them to someone else." Jason clenched his jaw. "I said they're free." Without waiting, he took off his own jacket and placed it gently on Zena's shoulders. Then he nodded at the girls and walked out of the hall. The 2 sisters stood frozen for a moment. Then, unsure what else to do, they followed him. His quarters, Jason prepared a quiet meal. The girls sat silently on the floor near the corner, too afraid to touch the food. He didn't force them. He didn't ask anything from them. He simply said, "Eat if you're hungry. Sleep if you're tired. You are not prisoners here." The room was quiet for hours. Jason sat on the edge of his bed, staring at nothing. Memories from the battlefield haunted him. Friends dying. Orders that didn't feel right. But tonight, something else kept his mind busy. Those 2 sisters. Why would someone give them to him as a reward? Why them? Just before midnight, he heard a small voice behind him. "Why did you do that?" He turned and saw Velari standing. Her hands were shaking. Her voice was quiet. "Why didn't you use us like others would?" Jason didn't answer right away. Then he looked into her eyes and said, "Because you're not things. You're not property." Velari's eyes filled with tears. "They said no human would ever see us that way." "Well," Jason said softly, "they were wrong." She looked like she wanted to say more but turned away and went back to her corner. As Jason lay down to rest, he knew things wouldn't stay calm for long. He had broken a rule. He had said no when everyone expected yes. He had freed something. The system wanted kept in chains. He didn't know who the sisters truly were. He didn't know what was coming. But deep down, he already felt it, this gift, this choice, would change everything. The first night of freedom, the room was warm, but the air felt heavy. Velari and Zena sat in the corner, their knees pulled to their chests, too afraid to lie down. They had never been unchained before. The silence was worse than orders. No shouting, no commands, no punishment. Just silence. Jason didn't speak much either. He had left a plate of warm food on the table, untouched. He had offered them a bed, untouched. He had opened a window to let in fresh air. But still they stayed curled up in the corner like shadows. To Jason, it was strange. He had fought monsters. He had killed with his bare hands. He had seen the worst of war. But nothing felt as heavy as the silence of these two girls who didn't know how to be free. He sat across the room, letting them be. Every few minutes, he glanced their way, hoping they would eat something or lie down. But nothing changed. Hours passed. Midnight came and went. Then suddenly, a sound broke the silence, a soft sob. Jason turned his head and saw Zena crying into her hands, her thin shoulders shaking. Velari tried to calm her, but the younger sister pushed her away and stood up. "Don't understand," Zena whispered, tears running down her face. "Why didn't he hurt us yet? Why didn't he use us like the others?" Jason didn't move. He listened. "You don't understand," Zena said again, louder this time. "They never free us. They never let us go. This is a trick. It's always a trick." Velari tried to pull her back down, whispering her name, but Zena stepped forward. "I don't want to die like a fool," she said. "If you're going to do it now." Jason stood up slowly. He walked toward her, careful not to move too fast. Zena flinched as he got close, her body tense like a cornered animal. But Jason didn't raise his hand. He didn't grab her. He bent down, picked up the plate of food, and offered it to her. "You're hungry," he said. "Eat." Zena stared at him, shocked. Velari stood now too, watching silently, her hands clenched. Jason didn't say more. He simply placed the food on the small table beside her and stepped back. Zena looked at it, then at him. Then at the open door. She didn't run. Slowly, carefully, she sat down and picked up a piece of bread. Her hands trembled, but she took a bite. Tears rolled down her face as she chewed. Velari walked over and sat beside her, touching her shoulder gently. Jason returned to his chair, but he couldn't take his eyes off them. They weren't just scared. Girls, they were survivors. After a few moments, Velari looked up. Her voice was soft but clear. "You should know something," she said. "They didn't give us to you as a gift." Jason raised an eyebrow. "They gave us to you because someone wanted us gone. Silenced, forgotten. They knew you might kill us or break us. They didn't expect you to show mercy." Jason's expression darkened. "Why?" Velari hesitated, then said something Jason didn't expect. "Because we're not just slaves. Our bloodline, it carries something. Something ancient, something powerful. That's why they fear us. That's why they gave us to you." Jason leaned forward. "What kind of power?" Zena looked up. Her eyes were tired, but full of something else now. "Hope? No, not yet. But maybe trust. We don't know exactly," she whispered, "but our mother was taken because of it. Our people were hunted, and now we're the last ones left." Jason stared at them. The room suddenly felt colder. "You think I was supposed to kill you?" he asked. Velari nodded. "Or use us until we were nothing." Jason leaned back. taking it all in. He had thought this war was over. He had thought coming home meant peace, but now he realized the real war might just be starting, and it was sitting quietly on his floor in the form of two frightened, powerful sisters who had never known kindness before, and someone out there was going to be very angry that he had spared them. Asterisk whispers from the past. Jason had seen 100 different kinds of fear on the battlefield, in the eyes of dying soldiers, even in his own reflection, but the fear in Velari's eyes was different. It wasn't the kind that screamed or begged. It was the quiet kind that hid behind silence. It had lived inside her for years. She didn't speak much the next morning, only whispered softly to Zena in a language Jason couldn't understand. But when he brought them breakfast, something shifted. Velari looked up, not with fear, but with a question. "Why did they choose you?" she asked. Jason paused. "What do you mean?" "They had many humans they could have given us to. You were not their favorite. You questioned orders during the war. You refused to kill prisoners. You caused trouble. So, why you?" Jason didn't have an answer. He hadn't thought about that. He had assumed it was random or just some twisted gesture of thanks. But now that she said it, it made no sense. Why give him, the most difficult and unpredictable soldier, two living secrets? Velari stood and walked toward him slowly. For the first time, she wasn't trembling. "There's something you should see," she said. She unwrapped the cloth band around her wrist. Beneath it, burned into her skin, was a faint mark, a glowing symbol, pulsing with soft light. It wasn't just a scar. It looked alive. Jason stared. "What is that?" She looked at him with a seriousness that made the room feel smaller. "That's what they're afraid of." Zena pulled up her sleeve too. She had the same mark in the same place. Identical. Velari explained in a quiet voice. "This symbol belongs to a forgotten bloodline. We're not just from any alien tribe. Our ancestors were once part of a powerful network of mind-linked people called the Vikai. They could share thoughts, emotions, even control machines with their minds." Jason narrowed his eyes. "That sounds like a myth." "It was," Velari said, "until someone started finding our kind again and killing us." Jason felt a chill go down his spine. "They erased our history, burned our temples, took our mothers, and now we are the last. The symbol on our wrists means we still carry the spark. If we grow strong, we could awaken the link again, and they don't want that." Jason sat back slowly. It made sense now. This wasn't a gift. It was a clean disposal. Give them to a human known for disobedience. Let him kill them. If not, let others do it quietly later. No evidence. No mess, but Jason had ruined the plan by seeing them as people. And now the secret was in his hands. "Who knows you're still alive?" he asked. "Maybe no one," Zena said softly. "But the wrong eyes are always watching." Jason knew what that meant. If they were being watched, someone would come. Someone silent. Someone fast. He stood up and went to the window, scanning the street below. Quiet. Too quiet. "You'll stay here today," he said. "Keep the curtains closed. Don't answer the door for anyone." "Where are you going?" Velari asked. Jason glanced back, jaw tight. "I need answers, and I know exactly where to start." Outside, the city buzzed with life. Markets open. Shuttles passing overhead. But under that normal surface, Jason felt a tension. Eyes that lingered too long. A drone that passed twice over the same street. He made his way to a contact from the war, an old alien tech smuggler named Bren. Bren owed him a favor. Jason needed information. Who had ordered the gift? Who had signed the transfer? Who wanted the twins dead? Inside Bren's dusty shop, Jason waited. The walls were lined with old parts, blinking lights, and forgotten machines. Finally, Bren appeared. "Didn't expect you back in this part of the city," Bren said. "Thought you'd be celebrating." Jason leaned in. "I was given something." 2 alien girls. Bren's eyes twitched. "Sisters?" Jason nodded. "Twins, silver skin, marks on their wrists." Bren turned pale. "You should run," he whispered. "Right now." Jason didn't move. "Why?" "Because those girls, they weren't meant to survive. You're walking with ghosts, Jason, and the people who buried their kind don't like open graves." Jason walked back with a storm in his chest. The truth was bigger than he thought. And now, death was only a step behind. He didn't care. He'd made a choice. He would protect them, even if it meant war. Asterisk. Escape from the cleaners. The knock came just before dawn. Not loud, not rushed, just steady. Like someone pretending to be. Calm. Jason opened his eyes instantly. He hadn't really slept. His body was tired, but his mind had stayed alert all night, listening for footsteps, waiting for shadows to move. And now they had. He moved quickly to the front console and checked the hallway camera. 2 figures, standing perfectly still. No IDs, no uniforms. No faces visible beneath the smooth black. Helmets. Not soldiers, not police, cleaners. Jason's blood went cold. He had seen them before during the war. Silent units sent to erase problems. No questions, no noise, no witnesses. When they showed up, someone always disappeared. Jason turned away from the screen and whispered, "Wake the girls." Zena stirred first. Velari sat up fast, sensing something. Was wrong even before he spoke. The air had shifted. "We have to leave," Jason said. "Now? No time to pack. No talking. Just move." Jason grabbed his emergency gear credits, a signal jammer, a tracker blocker, and a stun pistol he hadn't used in months. He opened the wall panel behind the food unit, revealing a hidden exit passage he'd prepared years ago. The girls didn't. Question. They followed. Outside, the 2 cleaners still waited. They hadn't knocked again. They didn't need to, because they weren't here to question Jason. They were here to clean the mistake. The underground passage was dark and narrow. Zena clutched Velari's arm tightly. Jason led the way with a small light on his wristband, but even that felt too bright. Every second, he expected to hear the metallic steps of boots behind them. The passage led to the service tunnels beneath the market sector. From there, they could disappear into the Undercity if they moved fast. "Where are we going?" Velari whispered. "There's a contact who owes me," Jason said. "She can get us off-world." Velari looked back. "They won't stop, will they?" Jason didn't answer. The market was just waking up when they emerged. Stalls half open. Vendors yawning, lights flickering on. To anyone watching, they might look like a small family out for early errands. But Jason kept his eyes sharp. He saw the drone above them. It wasn't delivering goods. It was scanning faces. "Cover your marks," he said to the girls. They pulled down their sleeves quickly. Then Zena froze. "Jason," she whispered. He turned. At the edge of the crowd, one of the cleaners stood still, staring straight at them. No movement. No weapon raised. Just watching. Then the second cleaner appeared, cutting off the street behind them. They were boxed in. Jason didn't hesitate. "Run!" The next few minutes were chaos. Jason shoved through a fruit stand. Velari grabbed Zena's hand and darted between crates. The crowd screamed as a bolt of blue energy hit a wall nearby. Just a warning shot, but the message was clear. "We're coming." Jason led them into a storage zone. They ducked behind cargo crates, out of sight. The cleaners followed, slow and silent, scanning every corner. Jason checked his stun pistol. "One charge left. Not enough." He turned to the girls. "There's a back alley to the left. When I give the signal, you run." "What about you?" Velari asked. "I'll stall them." Zena shook her head, eyes wide with fear. "You'll die." Jason smiled, just a little. "Not today." He jumped out, fired a stun bolt toward one cleaner, then bolted the other direction, drawing their attention. The sisters ran. Vlar. I pulled Zena hard, turning down the alley Jason had mentioned. Behind them, they heard a crash Jason had thrown something heavy into a stack of metal crates, slowing the cleaners down. They didn't stop running until they reached the city's lower edge, a place where no cameras worked, where lights flickered, where names didn't matter. Jason found them there 20 minutes later, bleeding from a cut near his ribs, breathing hard but alive. He looked at them and said, "They'll keep coming. We need a ship, tonight." Velari stepped forward and placed her hand over his wound, her fingers glowing faintly. Jason blinked. "What are you doing?" She didn't answer, just closed her eyes. The pain faded. The bleeding stopped. When she opened her eyes, she looked at him with something new. Not fear, not confusion, but loyalty. "You saved us," she said. "Now we'll save you too." Jason realized something then. This wasn't just escape. This was becoming war. And for the first time, he wasn't alone. One returns, one lost. The rain came without warning, thick, heavy drops falling from the black sky, turning the alleys into rivers of mud and neon reflection. Jason didn't stop running. He couldn't. Velari was gone. Taken. He had seen it happen, just seconds too late. As they approached the safe house, a dark transport ship had dropped from the clouds. Two cloaked figures leapt out, grabbed her, and vanished before he could even draw his weapon. Zena's scream still echoed in his ears. Now they were soaked, breathless, and hiding beneath a collapsed walkway deep in the city's ruins. Zena sat beside him, shaking, eyes empty, staring at the spot where her sister had been. Jason clenched his fists. Every part of him wanted to blame himself. He had promised to protect them. He had broken that promise. "She's still alive," he said at last, voice low and firm. Zena didn't reply. "She's alive. They didn't kill her. If they wanted her dead, they would have done it the first time. They took her because they need her." Zena looked up slowly. "How do you know?" "Because they didn't come for you." Zena blinked, confused. "They separated you," Jason said. "They took the one they thought was more dangerous or more valuable. They want something from her. That gives us time." Zena wiped her face, trying to hold back tears. "But we don't know where she is." Jason nodded. "Not yet, but someone does." Later that night, Jason led Zena through the outskirts of the city to a shadowy back room inside an old spaceport. There, he met with someone he never thought he'd work with again, Relin, a spy who once sold out an entire human squad for credits. But Relin knew how to find ghosts. And Velari had become one. Jason dropped a sealed cube onto the table. "Information. Trade," he said. "Military base layouts, unused tunnel maps. Fresh from Central Command," Relin whistled. "Dangerous gift." "Where'd you steal this?" "Not your concern. Just tell me where they took the girl." Relin smiled thinly. "You're lucky. There's only one place they take VK bloodlines these days. Remote lab, outer system, deep orbit prison." Jason leaned in. "Coordinates?" Relin hesitated. "Only if you give me one more thing." Jason's eyes narrowed. "What?" "The girl with you. Her healing mark. It's real, isn't it?" "I want a sample of her DNA." Jason stood immediately. "Deal's off," Relin shrugged. "Fine. Then you better start saying goodbye to the other one. Because if she's in that lab, she's already halfway to becoming a weapon or worse. Fuel for one." Jason grabbed Relin by the collar. "You give me the location, or I make you regret ever learning my name." Relin's smirk faded. Slowly, he pulled out a data chip and slid it across the table. Jason released him and snatched the chip. "One more thing," Relland said. "There's a new group looking for you. Quiet, well-funded, not official. They call themselves the Collectors. You cross their line, they don't forget." Jason pocketed the chip without a word and walked out. Back at the shelter, Zena was waiting, curled up with a blanket. Jason handed her the chip. They took her to a lab, outer system, I know where. Zena stared at the chip, then at him. "You'll go alone?" Jason shook his head. "No, you're coming with me. They didn't take your sister by accident. You're part of this too." Zena sat up. Her eyes no longer looked helpless. They looked ready. "If we find her," she asked, "what happens next?" Jason looked her in the eyes. "Then we burn their secrets to the ground. Asterisk the trade for blood, the stars outside the ships." Window blinked like cold eyes watching from a distance. Zena sat quietly, staring into that vast dark, her thoughts filled with one thing: Velari. Somewhere out there, her sister was trapped inside a lab built by monsters in suits. And every passing second felt like a knife turning deeper in her. Jason piloted the stolen transport through silent space, his jaw locked tight. He hadn't spoken much since they lifted off. Not because he had nothing to say, but because too much was weighing on him. They were headed toward a classified, orbiting facility that didn't exist on any map. A place built to keep secrets buried forever. But the hardest part wasn't getting in. It was what he had to do to make it possible. A day earlier, Jason had sat in front of a resistant cell. Old enemies, new allies. Their leader, a scarred woman named Kale, had listened to his plea with cold interest. She didn't care about Velari. She cared about what Velari was. "You want to rescue a girl," Kale had said. "But she's not just a girl. She's the key to something our enemies have been hiding for years." Jason had nodded. "So help me get her out." Kale had leaned in, her voice calm, like poison. "We will. But in return, you give us access to the Terran Command Archive. You've been inside. You have the codes. We want them." Jason's stomach turned. The archive was sacred. Not just for Earth's defense. Inside were protocols, history, secrets that could destroy alliances. "I can't give you that," he said. "Then you don't want your alien girl back." Jason had looked away, silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke just 3 words. "What's your plan?" Now, in the present, the stolen code sat in a secure drive hidden in Jason's boot. The price had been paid. Zena finally broke the silence. "Will they really help us?" "They will," Jason said. "Because they want what's inside her mind just as badly as the enemy does. They just call it freedom instead of control." Zena clenched her fists. "She's not a weapon." "No," Jason said. "But to them, she's worth more than 100. As they neared the hidden station, Kale's voice crackled through the comms. "You're late," Jason responded. "We're close." "You have the extraction team in place? Already inside?" "You'll need to make noise on level 4. That will draw the guards. We'll grab your girl during the chaos." Jason smirked. "Noise is the easy part." They docked under a false registry. Jason and Zena entered as technicians delivering fusion components. The lab's outer decks were clean, cold, and empty. No one smiled here. Everyone walked fast. They knew what went on behind the walls and kept their eyes down. Jason led Zena to the control room on level 4. There, he accessed the grid and uploaded a spike into the core systems a virus Kale had given him. Lights flickered. Sirens blared. That was the signal. Suddenly, the floor shook. Alarms screamed. Doors slammed shut. Security bots scrambled in all directions. Jason grabbed Zena's hand and ran. Meanwhile, in the deepest level of the lab, Velari lay on a table surrounded by white light. Tubes ran into her arms, her eyes twitched. She wasn't asleep, but trapped in a dream made by chemicals. Then, chaos. Smoke poured through the vents. Glass shattered. A shadow stepped in through the smoke. Kale's top operative. With cold precision, he deactivated the machines and lifted Velari into his arms. She's lighter than expected, he muttered. But as he turned to leave, Velari's eyes snapped open, and for one moment, just one, every machine in the room shut down. Not from the virus. From her. Jason and Zena fought their way through a swarm of guards. Zena threw a shock baton like she'd trained her whole life, knocking one enemy cold. Jason blasted another with a stun round. Then a door slid open and there she was. Velari. Eyes wide, hair wild, a faint glow on her skin. Jason ran to her. You all right? Velari looked at him, then at Zena. She took a breath and whispered, I saw everything. I felt everything. They weren't just studying us. They were trying to copy us. Zena's voice shook. Why? Velari looked down. At her hand. The mark on her wrist now burned brighter than ever. They don't want to kill us, she said. They want to become us. Jason's voice hardened. Then we make sure they never get that chance. He turned to Kale's team. We're done here. Light the charges. As they escaped, the lab exploded behind them. Years of dark secrets, turning to dust and fire. But the war wasn't over. Jason knew this was just the beginning, because now they were no longer hiding. They were rising. The choice that changed everything. The sky on the Outer Rim colony was purple and quiet, too quiet for what had just happened. Jason stood at the edge of a cliff, watching smoke rise far behind him from the remains of the secret lab they had just destroyed. It should have felt like a victory, but it didn't. Not yet. Beside him stood Zena, her silver hair tied back, her eyes sharper now. She wasn't the same frightened girl he had met days ago. And Velari, she stood on his other side, glowing faintly in the setting sun, alive. But changed. None of them had spoken for minutes. Then Velari broke the silence. I heard their thoughts, she whispered. Jason turned to her slowly. When they had me hooked up. When they tried to tap into my mind, I didn't just see what they did. I felt what they wanted. They don't want peace. They don't want power. They want to erase us, our kind, our blood, our memory. She looked at her sister. They call it survival. But it's just fear. Jason knew that fear well. He had seen it behind every war mask, every speech, every order given to wipe out an entire people. Fear of the unknown. Fear of something stronger. Fear of losing control. They'll come again, Zena said quietly. With more ships, more lies, and bigger weapons. Jason nodded. That's why we won't wait this time. A week later, they landed on a forgotten moon once home to the Vikai people. The old ruins still stood, overgrown and silent, but the markings on the stone walls matched the symbols on the twins' wrists. It was their homeworld, or what was left of it. Zena walked through the ruins with wonder. Velari stood in the center and closed her eyes. The stone beneath her feet pulsed faintly. Jason watched as strange energy flickered between the twins' marks, alive, connected, ancient. They left this behind, Velari whispered. They left it for someone who would return. A chamber. Open beneath their feet, not by touch, but by thought. Inside were recordings. Messages in the language of the Vikai. Memories stored in crystal. Proof of what once was, and what could be again. Jason stepped inside with them. This is your birthright. Velari shook her head. No, this is our fight now, yours too. She looked at him, something unreadable in her eyes. You were never supposed to be part of this. They gave us to you so we'd disappear, and instead we became something more. Jason was quiet for a moment. I didn't do it for any reward. Velari smiled faintly. But you did choose. That's what matters. Back on the surface, a beacon was lit, not a distress call, but a message to others like them, hidden, scattered, waiting. The Vikai were not gone. They were returning. Jason stood with the sisters, staring at the stars above. There's no turning back now, he said. Velar, I reached out and took his hand. Zena did the same. No, Velari said. Only forward. Far away in the dark halls of a hidden command center, a council watched the footage. She survived. She awakened. She is no longer alone. The room grew tense. One voice, cold and sharp, cut through the others. Then we burn the stars if we must, but that human dies with them. But Jason already knew. The next war wouldn't be fought for land. It would be for memory, identity, and the right to exist. And this time, they weren't fighting alone.